meeting. Yeah, Paolo, do you have all the stuff working on your machine? Do you want to give us like an overview of like where we're up to? I think Michael probably hasn't seen the project for a little while, so
yeah,
he might be.
I don't have everything working on my machine. I don't think. I mean, but I can definitely start by telling Michael what has been done in the past couple of weeks.
Although I would say I don't know, Michael might prefer. I would say rather than launching into just a verbal description of what's happened, I would show like the actual code. I don't know, Michael, am I speaking out of turn? Like for me, I find it really difficult to follow purely verbal explanations of things. Like for me, seeing the code is everything. But Michael, maybe you're not bothered either way?
I'm trying to share now.
Yeah, you're sharing.
Okay, so what happened in the past few weeks? Well, Brent, like last month, worked on the AsyncVoter API client.
Mm-hmm.
So the step we wanted to make was the main project here is the AsyncVoter Slack command, this one here, and we until now it's been using a Redis database or cache to store the active votes, voting sessions and votes. It didn't have persistence, I don't think, although there were ways to store, I think, to save the current cache to some file. But we already had this project, AsyncVoter API, which is like a standalone REST server for storing all these voting sessions and votes into a MongoDB. So what Brent did, I'm not sure whether the AsyncVoter API client was a brand new project or that Brent did from scratch.
Yeah, I think Brent created that from scratch.
Okay, so this is just a JavaScript API to be a client of this AsyncVoter API REST server. So you can create a AsyncVoter. Let me open the Slack command in code.
So it's basically a node module. Is that?
Yeah.
The AsyncVoter API is an
API client.
JavaScript library, really. I mean, it's not using Node specifically. It's an NPM module that we import through NPM.
Yeah, so then we would call it a node module, would we not? I don't know, or at least that's...
We put it an NPM package, I guess. It's just a JavaScript.
Right. But so then I mean, we're going to install it with like NPM or Yarn, but it's going to be saved into the node modules directory, right?
Yes. So if we go into Slack command directory into node modules, we should have the AsyncVoter API client has been installed.
So given that it's in the node module directory, we could say that the AsyncVoter API client is a node module.
Yes, fair enough. Yes, I don't think yes. Okay, fair enough. But I just meant it's a simple JavaScript API that lets you create a new. Let's see it here. Yeah, AsyncVoter API client. We require the module, and then we do AsyncVoter API client instance is a new of that. Just
new instance of that
function back. And then once we have the this API client object, we do this at startup, set base URL to tell it our AsyncVoter server is the default where it actually is. We're using this one, and then we just pass this on to our main app module, the AsyncVoter JS file as a parameter, so we receive it up here. And then, so basically, I've been playing with this a little bit in the past couple of weeks, and I've added some code to that. Okay, we'll see where we call it. Basically, in addition to doing all that it did, and without having my additions only at the leaf points of these nested database operations that it does, so that even if my new code fails, all the rest had already happened. So we add a new story when we create a story through the command whatever request here. We do all the stuff with Redis first, and then I just wrap the three things into three simple functions. Add the story. This should be called to external DB, right, Sam? We thought.
Yeah,
Should have
I think
mentioned
it's
Mongo because
well,
yeah.
even we don't even need to mention that. What we're doing is we're sending the story over the REST API, so we probably don't want to mention databases there at all.
Yeah, the names of the three things I added should be revisited, and then probably when we're confident that this is working, then all the Redis stuff maybe could go eventually, because we don't need to store things twice, I guess. So add story to MongoDB, and then send reveal to MongoDB when the votes are revealed, and then add vote to MongoDB when votes are added before revealing. And I've implemented them up here. And yeah, so these use the API client API. So create story, you have to pass it a new story object with name, the channel ID as source, and the user ID as user ID.
Yeah. So does I mean, okay. So this is a spike, right?
What is spike?
It's like basically an untested attempt to save the function out, like better understand how the functionality would be added.
Yeah, well, we struggled to install the right pieces on the right servers, and Sam actually resolved a few issues in the past couple of meetings that were preventing us from even running this code correctly. And so last time when we ended the meeting, we actually saw the database object being added on the other side, and we stopped there. So
right,
I guess,
but it was a manual test, right? It wasn't automated.
Yeah, it's a manual thing. Yeah.
It's a spike right now. Okay,
it's a spike. So yeah, Paolo had added the functionality to the Slack command to make use of the API client, and yeah, we were having yeah, it was kind of in there, and it wasn't doing anything, or at least, well, we kind of like, I think I thought we had deployed it, and then maybe we hadn't. But yeah, last week we very definitely had deployed it. We've got some console logging in there. We identified the console logging in there, and we kind of got down to there was like too many slashes in the URL, and that was actually what was preventing us seeing the complete round trip.
Oh,
once gone.
Is there like a strong? So Paolo had mentioned kind of offhandedly that you could perhaps remove the Redis. Is there actually a really strong reason to do that? Because say that for some reason say the Slack command was working, but for some reason the API was down.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be desirable to store the results in the
Redis? Yeah, personally,
in the Redis, and then
yeah, personally, I would love. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm not in any rush to remove the Redis myself, and it seems like, you know, you at the moment, as I was explaining to Paolo before, at the moment you in principle can, you know, access the data from Redis and dump it and then use it for your statistical analysis. As you say, there's also the situation that the you know, the API, the RESTful API may be offline, so it's like good to store it in the Redis for as long as we haven't received a response from the RESTful API confirming that it's been stored there. So yeah, I personally am not in a big rush to remove the
fair enough. I don't think I really have a strong feeling about removing it, and these arguments sound quite convincing. Ideally, I guess we'd have a scheme whereby we'd be able to detect which database writes, because that's all we do. We write have failed and queue them, or something, or just, you know, have some scheme whereby we can cache what we haven't been able to write on the DB, or flag. We can cache everything like we do, and flag those that we have failed to write. And when we get the DB back, we can write them down. Yeah, that would be even better, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess the first step would be like now having seen the round trip, which I kind of got kind of antsy about, like, you know, is this code architecture that we have even going to conceivably work, and we've now demonstrated it works. Probably what we're going to do is to turn this spike into something that's like tested. So like at the moment, if you run the tests for this locally, so if you open a terminal Paolo and run like npm test for this thing, are they all passing for you now?
Let me.
I'll do the same on mine. I know, Michael, if you want to download the latest version of the Slack command and see if the tests pass for you.
I'm running it now. npm test.
So is this on a branch or something?
No, I think it's in the master. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Is it?
Okay.
Let me see. Is it in the master? No, maybe it's not. Oh, I think it's in a pull request. Yeah, there's a pull request from Paolo, so it's in the it's in a branch that starts with like 57.
So it looks like you maybe haven't broken the other existing tests, but
right. Well, I think we were getting breaks last week, and we fixed those issues. But yeah, and so now, and I hadn't remembered whether we got to the point that those were passing on Paolo's machine, but it looks like they are. Yeah, so then we've now got the question of taking the spike and refactoring it, what tests we want to put around it, the naming of the methods, and so on.
You guys want to take over?
We certainly could do. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I can think of several itches to scratch at the moment. One of which is that, so we added all this logging to kind of like just, you know, make sure stuff is happening, that which is now kind of polluting the test run there. So go on, Michael.
In the output, I'm seeing he has add story to MongoDB. Null. Is he like printing something out? Because that's coming in the...
Yeah, it's console logs. What I was just saying, Michael, is that we added a lot of console logs to try and, like, this was like, because we were deploying it into the staging system to like see are we actually really deploying it, and actually see those logs in the staging system. So they're like entirely unnecessary for the purposes of testing, but they're very useful, like, you know, next to essential on that thing. So what would be nice would be to have a mechanism to like turn on and off the logging as appropriate. And I've used, Michael, we worked on it before. I think we were working with BotKit or something. We used Winston, I think, to which is like a node logging framework, which you can like set the logging level so that it does different things. I seem to remember Aresh like actually removing the Winston framework from this before. And anyway, but that's like one issue to work on in this in this pull request that we've got. I mean, I guess so we've got things to do. So there's one is get a handle on the logging. We could just like remove all of these console statements or comment them out in the short term. There's like renaming the functions, and then there's like adding tests. Would be the three. I think the three things that we would need to kind of sort out before merging this PR in. Does that sound like a sensible set of things?
Yeah. Where would you be adding the tests? Here at the AsyncVoter Slack command, or?
Well, that's an interesting thing to explore, and I want. I'm not. Let me get sidetracked with the. So if I go into Visual Studio Code and I say open, I haven't opened this, so let's go and let's open Come on. Okay, so I need a new computer. Where are we? So we're back in Agile Ventures, and we are in the AsyncVoter Slack command. And so the interesting thing to look at some of the existing tests. So for this at the moment, we've got the tests in test.js. And so this checks like various things there, like hitting different endpoints. So we've got start a voting session here. I guess this is all kind of at the acceptance level, where it's sort of hitting endpoints. Now, and I guess these tests just sort of operate with it kind of hitting the Redis, like the Redis database is running locally, and it kind of hits it. So I guess like if we have this kind of working, then running the tests at the moment would be hitting the actual live production REST app.
Well, unless you have another environment variable set, right?
Set locally, which I don't think we do. So if we look at, I mean, you just ran the tests and they passed. If we go into the stories now here, look, 23 of them. But nothing. Oh, we got two things. Is there anything? We're in Control F.
There's one
2018.
for yesterday.
Sarah? I'm not seeing anything.
January 15th. That's not.
Yeah. So, at the moment, there's nothing in there that's there's nothing in there from like this month.
Was there like a key or something that needs to be set to?
No, at the moment it's just a completely open. At the moment, it's just a completely open endpoint. So we've got the Redis and the things. I guess if we look at like a particular test that would, so this is starting a voting session here. So I might just run just this test, and I can do that. My even directory now, CD Agile Ventures. CD AV. No, is that right? No, what are we on? This is the what's it called? It's called the AsyncVoter Slack command. And so here we could do. I'm just going to look at package JSON. Do we have a test command in here? So we have test. I think we have test watch as well. So I could just do npm test here, and it should like run that one command, one thing. Okay, so that ran. I wonder, can I even do it with the cool and funky debugging framework from within here? That would be cool. I think this will create a. That's. I wonder if I can do this from work with. I wonder if I can actually set it up here. So this will be name. This will be like launch tests, like so. Can I then, having saved that, I just debug it from here? Will it all like explode and blow up? There we go. It's running. Ooh, debugger attached. Okay, and then it's going to be like it working from test. It doesn't have all of the. It doesn't know what Mocker is. Is that because the program that it will need to run will need to go like package JSON? We need to do the same thing and do like this in here, and then I could just go in here and I could kind of put a breakpoint in there. And so this would be like this is starting a voting session. So then in the index.js, we would expect to be, oh, right, no, index.js pulls in, what does it pull in? Oh, AsyncVoter.js. And so that would be pulling in those functions there. That's the authorization. This would be the place here where it was actually, yeah, let's just pop one in there. Okay. So then,
Yeah, I just downloaded it and installed it, but I just need to get, I'm on my Windows computer, so I would need to get Redis running on this computer.
Right, in order to have the tests.
Because I just ran the tests and
Yeah.
all of them except 2 of them failed.
Right. Okay. Cancel. Attribute program is not absolute. I don't even know what this NYC thing is. I don't know how long I should continue marking up there. Yeah, we don't have NYC. That's not absolute. Yo. I wonder if I can. So I guess I should probably. The debugging framework for VS Code is really nice if you get it working. I think here let's do an example of, if we look at the VS Code launch.json for running against Electron apps, there's a way of specifying the executable that you want to run. There's an example of, yeah, so they've got things like the runtime executable, and then you specify the program that you want to run.
So, Paolo, how do you have Redis running? There's like 3 options on Windows 10.
Actually, I was thinking about this when you mentioned that it didn't work for you. I can't remember how I didn't do anything today. I just opened my shell and ran it. How do I even find out? Like,
so you opened a shell, like bash?
No, I opened a Node.js command prompt. This one here, which has my node path in the path. My node directory is in the path mainly, I guess, is the difference. And then it's just a Windows DOS shell. What's it called? Just a regular Windows thing. But how do I find out whether I have Redis running?
I mean, you obviously do, but if you look in look in Task Manager, maybe.
I think I got the debugging system working.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Yeah, so look,
you can also look under the service. Maybe you have it as a service, and it like launches automatically when your Windows starts.
Yeah, maybe you do. Oh, Redis server, here it is.
Right, Redis server. Go to services.
I have it here as well. Redis.
Yeah, that's it. So
I've probably installed it as a self-starting service.
So you must have installed the native port of Redis from Microsoft, right? That's what they're saying. You don't have Windows 10, right?
No, I have Windows 7.
That's running. Yeah, so it's gotta be the native port.
Yeah, probably.
Because it's not running in a VM, so.
No, it's not. Yeah, maybe I can go into my F drive. Is Redis here? Oh, I guess this is what I installed. There's a lot here. Redis. Yeah. Looks like I might have installed it in here, actually. Looks like I have this MSI installer.
Yeah, okay. That's the one I'm looking at right now. But yeah, so I'll probably install that and then like disable the automatic service crap.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
But that's actually, yeah, what they said is that it lags behind because it's 3.2 and the current version's 4. But if you have Windows 10, apparently there's like now a way that Windows can run Ubuntu stuff when like natively.
Oh wow!
Like there's some kind of subsystem in the kernel or something. I don't know. And you can like install it if you have Windows 10, and then you can run all these things like natively.
I see. Cool.
So then, in theory, you should be able to run like the latest Redis on Windows.
Okay.
But you don't have 10; you have 7. So
yeah.
Which one are you on, Michael? Are you on 10?
Yeah, I'm on 10.
I might need to get 10 for the Anthony Powell Society.
Why is that?
Because that's what they're on. And they're having some.
Is it like they're having something specific to their?
Well, I don't know
computer?
if that's
it's specific to their computer at least.
Yeah, it's they're reporting a bug that is not occurring on my Windows 7 machine, and we've got exactly the same versions of Access. So I'm just going through trying to eliminate,
So how are you going to get Windows 10? Like buying a new computer, or?
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I haven't even looked into it yet. It's just one of those things that I might have. I mean, they are. I've asked them to give me a deeper replication of the thing, so we'll see if they can show me the precise sequence of steps that causes the thing. Then I may have a better chance of replicating it without having to invest in Windows 10. But yeah, so in the background there, I've got debugging working in VS Code.
Wow.
So here, I mean, I've basically run I've run the individual test. I'm basically running this individual test, which starts a voting session, and it's now hooked on the debugger here at this point. And so it's interesting. Now it'll be interesting to see if I continue. I mean, I can sort of if I step over here, I guess. I mean, it's basically got this like sequence of things that it does. I mean, we don't really care too much about the test passes. But so if I put play again, then potentially we will. Yeah. So actually now, see, we've stopped here inside this point, and we can. What's nice about it is like to channel ID 1. Can we see what the text is? Let's look at the text there. Feature 1. Yeah. So we can see this receiving the stuff that we sort of expected it to. And then it's kind of going to go on and add story to MongoDB. I guess what I would like to do is get into there, create story, add vote, send reveal. Where is that method?
At the top.
Yeah, I'm jumping over. I got there's nice short. I got F12 to jump to that. There we go. So what I want to kind of, and it's here, create story. So at some point here, create story. Like under the hood here, the system is going to, send it out. But so I wonder if can we infer from, like, I don't know if the index, we've got the index context. Can we work out what the, like, if we do we have access to the client in this environment? Don't we? Certainly somewhere. Where's the code that we're on? Here. So at post, have we like set the AV client as?
I've got the test passing in the meantime.
Okay, cool. Where is the client in all of this? So we've got module exports. So we've got AV API client. It's kind of like a global thing that we've got here. Can we even see? And then the global Global closure, client ID, client secret, global coming in. Oh, it's like crazy load of stuff. Local, there was another closure there. Okay, so here's the client. And we can see the base URI. Okay, so I think this is probably experiencing the same issue that we fixed last week. I can see that the base URL has got like a slash on the end.
Trailing.
The trailing slash. And at the moment, the API client, which, if we go into the node modules, now here, AsyncVoter API client. And so the reason this is a problem, if we look at the client, when it basically has the slash in each of the things. Go on.
So maybe you should remove it. If you pass it as you set the URL with a trailing slash, it should remove it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this the set base URL that we should defensively here remove any ending slash in order to avoid, because
okay, you don't want to add it there as that's in your node modules folder, but
no, absolutely, that's work to do on the other. But so in the context here, presumably if I take the slash off of this, I mean, it's not going to change this. I mean, I'll complete the test run there. Interesting. Ends up on a type error, but I don't really care about that. If I now run the test just from the command line, I guess conceivably that will actually hit the endpoint, and we might see it. And so that's still passed. And then we might now in here see the thing. Let's have a look. It does say 25. So looks like something's been created. 2018-03. No. The two things, but maybe the date is being set in some way that I don't understand.
Well, what name did you give it? Feature 1. What was the name?
Yeah, I'm looking for the name. The name says it's coming from the test. Is there a good way here? That's not what I wanted to see. Oh, go away. Oh, it's over here. Look, the test here. It's called feature 1. And so I think I don't think there are any new ones. I think as I mouse over this, there's currently 26 is the latest one, and feature 1 does not exist in there. So that still makes it seem like it's not hitting that endpoint. But we're not getting any errors. Weird.
It worked last week when we tried from the actual.
Yeah, when we ran it all from the staging instance. I mean, I guess conceivably, like for me locally, I guess we've now definitely got the correct version of the AsyncVoter API client in here. Because that was a big problem that we had before, was that it was like basically the set base URL function didn't exist. But so this is now correct. I mean, I can even, because it's get all stories, get story, create story. I mean, I can even set a breakpoint there, and I could rerun the tests like so, and will it then? So it'll hook on those. So this is the test. We're doing feature 1. We get into this point. Did I put the add story to MongoDB? Well, let me put. It's got a bit of a So there. So it gets into here. Step. So we can see here like it's got setting that up. So then create story there. Right, so now we've dropped into here, and we can step over that and see that the URL is. So what do you think of this VS Code environment?
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So then here is the point. It's going to try and post to this thing here. And I guess this is, there. I'm just going to put breakpoints there and there, and oh yeah, it seems like it's just it didn't get into. It seems like
the function was never called.
Yeah, it never. Yeah, for some reason, and so the error was never thrown. That's weird.
Yeah, but that kind of makes sense in the sense that it's async, but so the functions return immediately, and then you're through.
Right, but I've got breakpoints in here that
eventually it should
eventually when it's called, it should, hit those. We could try it one more, and yeah. So I mean, we've got the backup around all this is like, what kind of form would testing take in this environment? And probably the sensible. I mean, just checking that well, we've got a testing server, so we are, what we should sensibly be doing is like in the context of these tests, setting the testing server to be the endpoint that we hit, and then at the acceptance test level, it's, we could have this test follow up with a check that the expected thing is on the testing server. I mean, it's or we want to have, like, at a lower level, some kind of stub that says, okay, was the API, the client method actually called? But given at the moment, these are things at the acceptance test level. So, yeah. But that's strange that it doesn't. It's very strange that it does. If you go into the client.js, strange that this function doesn't.
It never returned. It just passed the test, and that was it. So if we go into the REST client itself.
Yeah, this is the REST client here. We're in the REST client. Oh, sorry, no, the
No, isn't that the module?
Right, sorry. This is the client. This
if you go on the Brent's module.
This is Brent's module here.
What is?
Yeah, this is. I've kind of gone into the node modules, and so this is Brent's module, where.
So,
go on.
Well, what is the REST client? There must be some underlying thing then, right?
Yeah, so the REST client here, that is like a REST client module itself.
Okay.
Which is then generic REST as opposed to. Yeah, I don't know what does that actually come from. It's got new REST, the node REST client, node REST client.
Node REST client. Yeah.
So there's a node REST client there, and we are going into the post method into there. I mean, the thing that I could do is I can step into that. I mean, I could basically start again, rather than like littering it with more. So we could start from. I'll probably have to finish in a minute. So we're coming in here, right? So we're running the test. We're here in the point that we're. What is this? So this is the Slack app has received the commands thing. It's gotten to this point where it's to start manipulating the the Redis repository. We continue. It now gets into add storage. So the Redis has successfully stored. We're now into the place where we're, add story to MongoDB methods. We continue. We end up now inside. This is Brent's RESTful client. We step there. We've got our args, which contain quite a lot of. It's interesting there. The args is an object with that stuff in it. The data, the story, which has like name, source one, user ID undefined. Interesting. I wonder if the test is missing sufficient information from the story. Maybe that it's causing an error on the REST API. Do you know what I mean? Like if we look at. Can
you do a tail log of the REST?
Yeah. If I come in here and we look at the logs on the production system, doesn't look like we've had, but I mean, it may be that I don't know that we even log failures very consistently in that. Like if we've got the AsyncVoter, is it the REST API? What do we call it? API. Then this, like the code path that it comes in through is when we are, so that's the story routes, like we're posting something into there, comes in through the controller, ends up coming in to create story. And then, so we've got this, like, if there's an, I don't know, like to return next error. I don't know that we would see that error in the log necessarily. I think there isn't any validation here. It doesn't, I mean, conceivably, if we're not, like, we've got like size, URL, source, user ID, and name. I guess, like, conceivably, it could end up throwing an error if one of these was missing. You know,
are they missing at all, or?
Well, if we look at what we've got here, our story has got a name, a source, and a user ID, but it hasn't got a size or a URL.
Can you just add one to that test or not?
I could. I was just gonna dive. Go on.
I think if we take a quick look at Brent's modules test suite, whatever it's called, then I think we will see, but I just think we will see examples of where he creates sessions with fewer than complete parameters. I'm not sure. Name, source, size, URL.
I think that, well, you've got his test there. His test here, it includes a URL and a size.
And that's all of them are like that. It doesn't.
Well, there's in this manual testing thing, there's only one story. In the spec,
yes.
It doesn't actually test anything related to that. So, yeah, there's only one, and the one that there's var story. Oh no, wait a second here. Yeah, var story there. Oh, this story here has a size and a user ID, but not a URL. But I'm not even sure the way it's used. I mean, I was hoping, or have I now lost where I'm at? Go back to the debugger. Can I get? Oh, I'm going to do control. I think I just dived inside the REST client, but I now can't work out where that. I was just going to see, like, if we get some kind of response from there. What's this one? This is close that. Close the spec. Got client there. AsyncVoter. Oops. If I just step over, will it take me to the? There we go. So here I'm inside the node module that's like doing the REST client, and so here it's going to like connect and do posts to the URL, args, callback, and so on. I can like step in there even further, and we get. I mean, I feel like there's probably an error message that's kind of come out somewhere, but it. Here, I can just sort of step over. Debug options methods, client HPress, debugs arc. What is args at this point? So that's our data objects, feature one, source one, user ID undefined. Interesting. But I can like step. I don't even know what file I'm in now. But this is. I think this is just like constructing the the post thing. Right. So that's we completed connect, and then it's what client request. So href. I guess I'm just going to step over that. And yeah, so it's just, for whatever reason, it's funny, isn't it? It's like it gets to this point and it just does not hook onto this code at all. So the post is attempted. I would have thought that if there was a failure on the remote server, there would be like, I guess, could it be that the remote server is like not responding at all? Anyway, I'd come back for all of that. Yeah, come back to, I think, what Michael was suggesting, which was if we go into the test that we've got locally.
Well, you would get some kind of like response that's not. We get a status code, you would think, right? That would say.
Well, I mean, I think you would have thought, you would have thought that you'd get like a 500 status code or what have you. I mean, we could do a post. I mean, the interesting thing here is for this command, we're sending the text with the feature and the channel ID. Does it make sense to be putting the user ID in here as something? We're doing a post to commands, which comes into the async voter, and so commands comes in here, and we extract from it. We get the channel ID, and we get the text, like so. I guess at the moment we're not getting the user ID, which we could be getting. But no, in fact, here we're grabbing the rec body user ID, which turns out to be, I think, undefined. And then we're like, these are then the set of things that we're doing. But add stories to MongoDB. Interesting. But it's because it clearly worked, didn't it, last week, Paolo, with this also. But maybe that's because the user ID was actually being set. I think maybe at the moment, this is trying to get the user ID, but the test is not setting up a user ID for it to get. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that could be. That's certainly a difference to what we tried before. You could try and force it to something not undefined.
Right. At the moment, it's coming out as undefined. And so if I put in some user ID like that.
Okay, no, we don't send it as user ID. We send it as source.
No,
user ID is the parameter that.
Sure. But here, this is, I'm setting up here for the, what's it called? Like here, we extract user ID from the body.
Oh, so you're putting it into the body? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm putting it into that when we extract this from here, it will actually have a value.
Find it short. That's.
Yeah, and so there. I mean, I guess this. I'll just let that run on. We can see if that change running the test here. I think it doesn't. I mean, I guess it's a little bit forlorn that. So if we load this, and still only 26 there. So nothing has magically appeared there as a result of doing that. We can run the debugger again and see if the user ID is correctly picked up. So we land, where's the initial landing is here. We continue. At this point, we can look at the request body, true, does it actually have the body, the request body there. It now has a user ID in it. I mean, that's the thing that would have been different in the real Slack instance. It would have really populated the request that way, wouldn't it? Yeah. So then we continue. Now we're here. So yeah, name, source, and user ID. These are the three things. We've now got our new story object that contains the user ID. Is the user ID expected to be doesn't matter if it's a string or a number? We don't know. I guess I would have thought in Slack it would be a a string like UX75 whatever thing, wouldn't they? And so now this time when we set up our args, we would have the data includes our story, and we've got now name, feature one, source one, user ID. And so here is the point where we think we are going to post to the REST client. The URL should be there in the local variables. It's not HTTPS, is it? It's just normal. That URL looks correct, doesn't it? API. Can we? If I see that. Come over here. Come over here. API-production.asyncvoter agileVentures.org/stories.
That seems right, and this is the default path anyway. In the the local tests work for the AV API client. Like they actually add stuff to the DB and.
Yeah, I don't. Well, that's something we could check. So now, and again, so I press play there, and again, it doesn't seem to hook onto any of those things. It looked like we had it never. I mean, I guess it's sort of the, it made the TCP/IP connection, and then just nothing ever happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if there's something weird about the debug environment, but if I like console log here, response from REST server, and we run this test of that, yeah, it never, we get like add story to MongoDB, but it never, for some reason, it never gets to there. That we don't know why. I mean, I guess that's running in the sort of test thing. Oh, is there? Can I start using the backticks thing like this? What's the run? Oh, I hate that when it. Can I drop back to the? Yeah, I want to do.
So when you say it worked before, like, what do you mean by that?
Well, so if we go to the test, I mean, maybe it's the production server. If we go to the test server, we were able last week when we were running this code on staging to get something that appeared. Like if we search here, control 2018-03, like we got this, like this came. This was like last Friday.
Coming through the Slack, right?
Yeah, so we started a vote in the staging server in the Slack in like the Slack desktop client, and with all the code deployed, and this is it ended up here on
is that code still deployed? Like, can we do another voting session and we see it?
Yep. So we go to AsyncVoter bot test. We could do another. So this is voter. Voter staging,
and you could point the test at the API test server, right?
I could. I mean, maybe there's a difference between what the production and the test ones are doing,
because that would maybe rule out.
Yeah.
If we pointed it at the test server,
yeah, I think so,
and it didn't work in the tests,
yeah. So here's the one.
Then we would know that
there was something about the production server that was, absolutely.
Or we would know that it was something about our test environment.
Yeah. So what did I just change in here? I accidentally changed something. Oh, I took that slash out. I mean, so I could just
change that.
Just change that. I mean, we want to be setting this in the test files, in the test environment. But yeah, so the round trip is definitely still working there. I could now run npm test here. Okay.
URL, that didn't work.
No, but that doesn't. What is the syntax for this? It's oh gosh, it's ES6 interpolation.
So what?
Template list rules. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it. It looks like it didn't hit. It's dollar, not hash. There you go. there. Okay, but we could have a quick
run it again, and then we'll see
what. Yeah, which one it's hitting. So it's trying to get here. What is that thing to see the thing? It's JSON stringify, isn't it? Isn't it, Paolo, like this?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, so it's definitely trying to hit the test server. Let's get that URL there. Why these things end up being so complicated? But so now here in the test, let's do Control F 2018-03. So we do have the two that we created through, so both this week and last week.
We got one from today, just above it.
That's the one I just did there.
But nothing from the test.
Nothing from the tests.
So that means it must be an artifact of the test.
Certainly, it's like the test environment. I mean, I guess the other thing that we could, be doing here is like checking the client. Like I could go into the node modules and the client there, and here I could run.
One other thing: has anybody done anything to? So I assume what you did last week at some point was you pushed the app.
Yeah, to the staging server.
To the staging, the API client, to the API command, the Slack command to the staging server.
Yes.
And have you changed it since then, like the app?
No.
Paolo, did you?
No.
You didn't push to the branch since it was changed?
No, okay, no, I didn't push for sure.
And so, yeah, what I've done here is I've kind of gone into the, let's see, Control F 2018-03. There's still those two. I think there was, so Brent has, like his tests that run in a test environment are not actually hitting the endpoint.
From within the node modules, right?
Yeah, so I've gone into the node module. So this is exactly the code that our system is using. I just ran. He has like a manual testing thing which just runs directly from node there, and so that one has just. So this is the thing that we're in here. I'm going to just change this to test. So here, that. Oh no, that's interesting. So here. API.example.com. What is he doing in this test.js, and why haven't I got access to it? That's that test.js. I want to be in. Is that different to test.js? I want to be. Where are the node modules? Every week this seems to leave me in this like state of I desperately need to go to the toilet, but I must make it work. So he's creating the AsyncVoter client. He's creating a story. We're creating that then gets overridden by another story. At the moment, and he just does get votes. At the moment, okay, they're different things. So he's doing kind of like a get votes for story thing here, and then it logs the base URLs for that. And okay, what we want this to do is just run a create story operation. So here, look, so in this case, we got a response from the REST server.
So you changed something now in the test code, right?
So in the test there, I think the way Brent had been using this test file is just he would be like, to test different things, like the different features of the client, he's just had them all in and, was commenting or uncommenting or what have you. I also changed it in the, gosh, no, where is that? In the client.
What
just
test?
The client defaults to the this the test thing there.
But you just changed something and ran some test, right?
Yeah.
Sam, I'm quite sure that Brent had worked on further tests for this API client module. Maybe there's a branch which is not the one we have.
That we're in now.
Is that the updated ad is different?
Let's have a look. Yeah, is that right? Have we got? Yeah, we do have a pull request here with more tests.
That's those that I kind of reviewed. That's why I pointed you to those to see.
Right.
I'm sure there are some tests, but no. So
there's much more sophisticated tests here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're not perfect, but they're
yeah. So we should get those merged in, but so independently of that, like I mean, these are it's only changes to the tests. It's not going to suddenly magically make our system work.
No, but if we're looking at the tests and there's nothing there, then here, this is where they are.
Right. There's more. There's something there. There's a very minimal set of tests. But like right now, so Michael was asking like, what did I change? And the answer to that question is that in this test.js file, I commented out what it was that it was like calling get votes for story, right? Which is not the feature of the API that we're focused on. And I uncommented the create story one, which is the feature that we're focusing on.
And that did create a story on the server?
Yes. So with this story here that had name, source, size, and URL.
And you were running the API client test when you did that?
Yeah, I mean, test is a strong word. This is this file called test.js that's just some node code that just manually hits the thing. It's not using any mocker.
But I saw something on there where it said response from client.
Yeah. Right. So that was here.
That's
the code that I had added. So that's the testing. If the client test here, that's the code that I added to create story here.
Yeah.
When it actually receives something from the server. So we can see here that now the interesting thing there, you can see here, look, it's gone to HTTP API test there. Was I running it before? And we're not. I mean, was I running it before and we had a different version of that coming out? Like, so here, this is in our tests, right? Like when we run the tests of our Slack command. This is that's the URL and data it was hitting. And for some reason, we were getting no response. So now, in contrast, doing it through Brent's little manual testing feature, we can see it's hitting exactly the same server. And the difference there the only difference appears to be
that source is a string instead of a number, for example.
Source is a string instead of a number. We've got a size and we've got a URL.
Okay, so we can either comment out size and URL from Brent's little test and see whether that starts failing.
Yep.
Or
we can add it.
I'm pretty sure you don't need a size and URL there, but let's confirm that by just removing the
let's remove it and assess. So we've got here. So if we remove
and the final comma you can also remove maybe.
And I can maybe turn this to the source to be a 1.
Oh, okay. Now this should fail too.
So we would expect this to fail. In fact, no, it's had got a response. So let's look at the other. So now, what, if anything, is different between these two? We are including a user ID. The content type is the same. That's kind of bizarre, isn't it? Like, I mean, I can only go so far as to
change the title
to precisely feature 1 and add the user ID. So if we now have the story is constructed like this, it has name there, and then user ID to Sam, like so.
At Sam, right? At Sam.
I think we just had Sam.
I think it's at Sam. Oh.
Well, this was the one that I just copied from there. So that's now sending, as far as we can see, the identical thing there. Am I doing in this one? I'm doing node test JS. I'm inside the node modules. So if I now drop back to there and I run our, it should be npm test, which is running that single thing, we can see it.
We also got a response from the server this time.
Yeah, so this is from Brent's manual.
Brent. Okay, now you're about to run.
And I'm now here running there, and this is what happens with the test here. We get no response from the server. And I guess that, and these are identical. So I feel like the test environment must be stubbing the server.
Yeah, there must be something going on with this test environment.
Which, yeah, is not insane that should be the case. So if we have a look at where do these tests are in this test.js, chai request app. What's going on with all of this? So we've got app server db chai knock.
That's it right there. Knock.
So knock is in place, and so that's from Aresh support testing. Control F knock. There we go. External requests are mocked. Okay, so we've got. Here we go.
This is like to simulate the Slack server, which we can't hit, right?
And so knock will just swallow everything else that doesn't.
Right.
That doesn't get stubbed explicitly.
But so what we should do then here is explicitly.
Or can you tell knock to let calls to specific server through? Oh yeah, you did.
Very possibly. I wonder if we can just do this and then at least have the response come back. No. It's not HTTPS.
That was fun.
There you go, but it's still not. Yeah, well, okay, we learned something about the testing setup. It's still, I guess, maybe we have to, in order for knock to work here. But yeah, as Paolo's saying there, if we can, the question with Michael, you and I used knock as part of the Agile bot thing back in the day, and
we didn't like it that much, though.
No, it's like, I think that at least the nice thing about WebMock or VCR is it tells you if it tries to, you know, like hit something that
it's something that's not stopped, right?
Right. Whereas this is like
doesn't tell you.
Enable, disable real HTTP request. By default,
there's an enabled net connect right there.
But so this is the thing: is by default, any request made to host that is not mocked will be executed normally.
This is a new one, though, right? That maybe this is a new module that's newer than.
Do we have the knock? Control F knock. Yeah, I don't know which version of knock are we on. Knock is on 902. Will this easily tell us the version? Oh gosh. How can I easily tell what version of knock are we on? Will it tell us in the package JSON?
Yeah, package JSON. Version 000 development.
That's not helpful, is it? If I do, if I search for like npm knock, will it go to a page and tell me about the latest versions. We're on 9.0.2 and it's currently on 9.2.3. So we could do just npm upgrade knock. Is that the... Which might be updates, or who knows. But so it is upgrading knock. Okay.
Do you still have that code now that will respond with a 200 and whatever? Maybe you want to remove that.
I maybe do, and I will. Has this? Yeah, knock 9.2.3. Okay, I guess we don't have any lock, so we don't have lock file. We should really move it to. Oh, we have that package lock, Jason. Is that even working now? Knock. Lock to 9.017. That needs to be saved. Oh gosh. But so if we go back to the test, not that one, but this one. That's not the test I want. Here.
But package JSON is still on 9.02.
Well, this one is saying 902 or greater.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess if I'm stricter, I could. It's 9.2.3, so I could say like be on this one or later, and then I could run npm here and npm update. No. All right. No, probably no. It's probably do awful things. Oh, npm install is what it should be. There we go. So that might put us on the latest version of Node of knock. But so this, it's got those recording options, enable, disable here. I mean, we could just call this for certain hosts and then
disable after we call.
Or I mean, I think in the final version of the test, we can do all sorts of different things. Where do we get? We get knock there. So now if we do npm test.
Sorry, what does enable connect do?
Well, according to the docs there, it's supposed to be allow you to hit the server, anyway. The enable net connect is supposed to be the default. So, but ours doesn't seem to be hitting the server, so it's kind of
okay. So enable net connect for calls that you haven't specified to block.
Yeah, this basically says if you haven't specified to block it, it should just connect normally.
Okay, cool. Yes.
What's chai HTTP? HTTP.
I don't know.
I
think that's basically allowing us to do this request to a server here.
What?
So we're doing chai request server. So basically, this is
okay.
I like you're saying chai use chai HTTP. Yeah. But so now, what's happened as a result of updating this is no.
So that's a request to our Slack or our Slack command server, not what Slack command's using.
Right. And so I think I've managed to just, so as a result of the update, we lost the changes that I had made internally to this AsyncVoter API module, I think, maybe. So I've just put them back in. So we've now got the URLs and the seeing the things and whatever. So we can do npm test there. And so, but still no response from that server. But so we can look at our package JSON here, 923, package lock JSON. The knock there is still saying 9.017. maybe at some point in the past, that connecting was not the default enables. I guess I'm not yet familiar with like how to force the update of one of those things. And so now, see, this is the thing, is then like having removed that from the package lock.json, I don't even know if the background lock.json is doing anything. We've got knock 9.2.3 there. I guess the thing to check really is if we go and look in, look, there is knock. And what does the package JSON say there? Okay, the package JSON says that we've got is 923.
Now you do, at least.
At least, yeah. But so I think that was, you know, come up when we're using knock is, you know, knock not doing precisely what it says on the tin is my memory of our frustration with knock. I mean, I guess the thing is, like, this seems to be working, right? Like, I mean, we assume that that's part of what makes the whole system work there. If I take that out, presumably that will fail in some nasty way. No, apparently not.
It doesn't fail.
No, I mean,
well, that's puzzling then.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm tempted to do here is if we just take out knock completely. I mean, Michael's question about HTTP chai, maybe HTTP chai is providing some kind of, you know, yeah. So even there with knock having been removed, we've now got no reference to knock that isn't commented out. So I guess we might have to like put it down to.
Sorry, Sam, the test isn't failing, but we're still not getting a response from the server, or are we?
There is no apparent response from the server as far as I can see. If we're trying to hit the test server, all of the ones that we have here, we've got like 3. There's the 2 that came from the Slack thing, and we've got now 3 from these. But I think these are all ones that from running the manual test outside of the testing framework.
Right.
I mean, I can see by the timestamps. You know, there's in the last 12 minutes we haven't had anything.
One has size 2.
Yeah. I think we started with this was what Brent originally had, and then over 2 rounds I changed it to exactly match what we were doing in our test.
Okay.
And we confirmed that, you know, in principle it can, you know, there's nothing about the data payload that we've got in our test environment that would prevent it landing this on the test server. So having removed knock, I guess, like, does it imply that, like, we're doing this request? I mean, this like the whole AsyncVoter app runs a little Node Express module setup, right? That this is then hitting. So it should sort of be talking to it as kind of a black box, right?
Sorry, which app runs
the
API?
The Slack commands application, right? That is that you know, runs on Slack, right?
I think,
yeah. It has 2 files in it, index.js, which you've talked through this to me, Paolo, right? That it requires an Express app, and you added the thing to the client and the Redis and what have you. And so basically then it's like a little mini server. Yeah. That
receives requests from the Slack server.
That receives requests from the Slack client. Yeah, I guess then through the Slack server or whatever it is.
Through the Slack server, like when you type a voter command.
Yeah.
And that's
right. And it hits this. Right. So we've created this little endpoint. And in our test for this, So we're doing here like chai request to server. Server here is requiring, yeah, it's our, basically it's treating our little index thing. So so chai here is saying like, you know, it's like gonna send it like, this is what we care about is the commands one.
It's gonna send the request to the express middlware, whatever they call
right,
that.
Right. So that comes in, yeah. And so I guess it's kind of like, I guess maybe it's not a black box in that it's like it reaches into the request middleware and ends up causing the async voter thing to you know, like hit the right point in here, like whatever it ends up just it calls this method with the appropriate parameters for us.
Yeah, right? Simulating what the Slack server would do on upon receiving the message that we're trying to send out.
Yeah, and I think I can see here that from the test setup, like actually I was busy removing knock, but so knock is kind of like required on a, you know, the full test environment here. And then actually where I was commenting out knock is in fact just on stubbing the authorize. It's like this. So it's not surprising that, because we're only running this test.
Okay.
So maybe not so surprising that didn't fail there. But then, so at the moment, the only hypothesis that I can construct for why this would not be working is that somehow, like in this chai request environment of running the app, that chai itself, perhaps through the chai HTTP, is kind of sandboxing it so that no external network connections can be made.
You want to look up chai HTTP?
Yeah. But that's just a response assertion. I think I may be being called to supper. Here, response assertions. Integration testing. But yeah, there's nothing in there that implies. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be like it's more like allowing us to talk about.
I think I know what it is.
Oh, go on, Michael.
This is a hypothesis. In documentations, says when passing an app to request, it will automatically open the server for incoming requests by calling listen.
Right.
And once a request has been made, the server will automatically shut down by calling close.
Okay, so maybe what is happening is
that it's like
shutting down before we get
there's
the
response. Like a raise condition, yeah.
Right.
Which is unique to the test environment.
I mean, that would explain why we didn't hear the response come back, but I guess it wouldn't. I guess if it's fire and forget, but maybe it doesn't have time for it to go out. So then it says, perhaps if you're making multiple requests, you must call keep open after requests and manually close the server down. So
great. So if we try that,
we can try that. So the server, what was this? Try request app. Try request. So that we've got that here.
And then remember to manually shut it down.
And then
it says in the docs.
And then so like finally we need a close operation at the very end. Now where would that? So we've got like end error response. I guess it would come here. Does that make? Well, we can try it.
Yes, I think that.
Is the requester like the right variable?
I don't know.
No, server, I guess. Maybe.
It's like whatever. Well, here it's doing like
returns. Okay. Yes.
Okay, but so yeah, we're kind of calling it in a different. Because we're not. I mean, in that one, it's sort of setting up a line of promises. We don't have we don't have a variable to refer to here for this one.
Can you just do requests are equal?
It says keep open is not a function.
Oh, okay.
So the implication there is, do we need to be on a latest version of Chai HTTP? This is like Chai request. Their operation here is this stuff. Chai request app keep open. I mean, they call that, and then they do request. So I mean, I guess in principle we could adjust to their operation there, which is to say that we're going to set up a requester and ask to keep it open, and then we just have a single. We put requester there. Now, I guess what this is showing us is how they want.
That's if you're using promises.
Right, or I was going to say but it's got like two different requests, and we want to wait for both of them to complete, and this whole system should stay open in between that. But so now the requester here, that corresponds there. We don't need to chain them because we're just doing a single one of them, but we've got the reference to that at the end. So if that could work, or it could tell us that keep open is not a function again. No. So that implies that we are not on the latest version of Chai HTTP. Oh, gosh. For Chai HTTP, the latest version is... Oh. Has no readme. 3.0. Yep. So 3.0.0. And we are on Chai HTTP, 3.0.0.
Oh, so why doesn't it exist?
I don't know.
Well, if you go into 3.0.0, what happens?
Well, we could look at Chai. We can look at the actual code underneath here, Chai HTTP. We've got an index file. We can look in the package.json, see here that it is on 3.0.0, so we're on the latest version. It's index, go into the lib. Can we find keep open in here? Find in folder. Keep open. No, so the method keep open does not exist in here. I mean, I wonder if this is keep open is actually part of Express. Do you know what I mean? Like this Chai request app is kind of wrapping the thing, but it ends up returning an Express app or something, or a socket, or
So I'm looking.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think you're right.
Interestingly, in the code for this Chai.js Chai HTTP, they do at least have the variable keep. There is a function keep open defined there. But for some reason, in our version of Chai HTTP, in the code that we're looking at here, this Chai HTTP, I don't know how we can check, is it the same? See, this is like Chai HTTP. Is Chai HTTP different somehow from Chai HTTP? Good grief. And the package JSON here is going to tell us something about that's also 3.0.0. So it got somewhere in the go on.
I think you're right that it's wrapping some other libraries thing.
Yeah, but still they've got a function.
They do have
it in line 223 of the request.js in here. And in line 223 of R1, it's missing. So somehow we've ended up with we don't have this latest code, even though it says we're on 3.0.0.0. I mean, I guess
start off GitHub.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I might just do remove -rf and do not all known modules, but just get to chai HTTP. And then do npm install. Because maybe they like did something weird where they meant to increment the release number and they didn't. You know, and they kind of like spammed over the chai HTTP that they had before. And so now if we go and have a look in our request.js at 223, but still no, in here, Control F, keep open doesn't exist there. Yeah, so
can you just install from GitHub?
we can.
Maybe this is all like. Oh, maybe this is 3.1.
HTTP.
Oh, it's master. I don't know what what does master mean?
On the master branch.
Yeah, it's on master, but
yeah, that's their last thing. But so we can. Oh, that's interesting. They've got a whole series of different stuff. Well, but we can point it to master. We were doing this last week, weren't we? What did we do? We were doing that, Paolo, with
for the AsyncVoter
yeah
API client.
Yeah,
we're pointing.
We've got here there. So what we could do is we could replace the chai HTTP with this, and then come into here and get that, and say we want you to get the master branch from there, and then I would probably do the same thing like that, and then I would do install, and hopefully it would grab the latest. Oh, what a jury-rigged. Oh, and I was thinking the node ecosystem was kind of improving, but anyway, there we go. Ah, oh gosh. So now, we are in the situation of, let's close knock. What is this called? Is it called chai HTTP, which should exist there? Chai HTTP, the request should now have on line 223. 223, it's looking promising, has keep open.
Excellent.
Okay. So this is the thing where you wanted to just work and okay now. Okay. Ooh, oh wow. Ooh. Interesting.
Just got a response from Rust server, it says.
Yeah.
Crash.
So that was interesting. We've got like, yeah, it's like we got a response from the REST server. So independent before I think we may have to, or at least I will have to leave a detailed analysis of that response there for another day. We can at least Control F to 1803, 16, 16, 18, 16, 18. Am I reading this right? Where's the timestamp? Oh, 1824. No, that's 09. I need it on the 7th. 17 is, no, 16 is today. Right, so the 1, 2, 3.
I don't think we got anything.
No, we have 4 of these now, when we had 3 before.
No, but we wanted 1900 hours.
Yay! Yay!
We got it to work.
We got it to go.
Oh, it's broken.
1832. Okay, so I'm 1 hour ahead.
Yep.
So it finally talked to the server.
It finally talked to the server. We got like a double callback bug.
Sam, can you do?
It must have been that race condition, right? Where
the
one
that
started to try and reach out to the server, and then
it was shut down, and before
it was shut down, and maybe the connection wasn't even made, or
yeah, totally.
So that actually worked. Can you do a feature 2, just to be sure?
Do a feature 2. You mean like just change the?
This is kind of the one that we.
So when you write the blog post, will you credit me with the?
Of course. You haven't read my blog post. They all credit you with everything, really. I mean, that's my kind of default. You know, inspired by Michael, we were able to. So, yeah, that's an interesting series of failures. We get this in JSON at position 574 JSON path. I mean, this is. I guess this is. Is this just a warning? It's a warning. So there's
It says there's a syntax error, unexpected token.
I wonder if that's the JSON that's coming back from the server is
broken JSON.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, the thing is, of course, now ultimately what we want is to be stubbing that out, maybe with knock. And I guess actually the thing that I was doing with knock was I was doing it in the wrong place anyway. Because we certainly learned a lot about these different things. So that now has run another session there. Yeah, I mean the test is broken. But if we reload this,
maybe it's broken because you don't have knock anymore. No, I mean that shouldn't matter.
No,
right?
knock wasn't used in that one. I mean, I think probably it's the combination, like the way done is being called, and then we're shutting down the server. Like I think there's probably going to have to be some work to be done to work out, like, you know, maybe this done needs to come here, or maybe the requester close needs to come. Like, anyway, that's for another. We need like a week hackathon to get it all sorted out. But so here now, I've reloaded that control F. Michael, there you go. This is the one that I just Michael's name in it to indicate just how insightful Michael's vision was there as to the race condition.
Well done, guys.
Right. Okay. Good session. Yeah, see you again same time next week.
Yeah, see you guys next week. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye for now. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.